a personal emotional connection with every single plan your visit before they're supposed to show up.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're trying to make as personal a connection with everyone. The one thing of them, and there about 50, connections, I'd say approximately, since Monday, but a lot of them, Chris, are not leaving a phone number. There's a conversation going on about email and it doesn't get to phone number. Anyone we get a phone number on, I'm already getting other people to, I'm even telling them who to expect a call from, that they're going to be meeting them at the door. I'm doing a lot. I mean, we'll go the extra mile, but there's only probably been, out of all those contacts, maybe 5 or 6 that have left their phone number. But there's this conversation going on as an email, and I would love to get their number. We would call them in a heartbeat. How can we get more phone numbers coming up?
Well, that's actually, like, those numbers are ridiculously good to have 5 or 6. Yeah. Right. So like, there's someone that plans their visit is going to give you all their information and they're going to give you their phone number. Right. So, so the biggest mistake that people will make is someone will go out and they'll actually say, yes, I'm coming this Sunday. Here's my phone number. Here's my email. They plan their visit. And then people say, okay, well, yeah, I didn't want to call them because I didn't want to bug them. It's like, no, they wouldn't have given you their information if they didn't want to connect with you. You're not bugging them. They're asking for community and connection. Right. So all the guys all the people that didn't submit, that's because they don't want a phone number, a phone call or a text from you. And that's fine. You still have them all in Facebook Messenger, right? So those people just probably aren't ready to visit yet. And that's fine. So if they get to that point and they don't submit that information, no problem. But you've always got that conversation now where you can go back to it and you can, and just invite them through Messenger. Plus if they're, now they're subscribed. So they'll be subscribed to your Messenger list for as long as, literally until they hit the unsubscribe button. And most people don't ever do that. So that list just keeps growing and growing. So you'll always be able to reach out to them whenever you want to. Some people just aren't ready yet. That's okay. But the fact that you've already had 5 or 6 and just started, that's awesome.
Okay, cool. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. All right, awesome. So let's see who we've got here. All right, Pastor Tucker put a chat in here. Says, my name is part of the voicemail, working on setting up a voice response in Facebook Messenger. Do you recommend sending a voicemail recording? So Pastor Tucker, if you're specifically talking about like sending like the audio prayer, I wouldn't set up one that like just like one automated like voicemail that you send to everybody, because the whole point of it is it being completely custom to every single person. So what we recommend is going in and actually sending an audio prayer, just so they actually hear you saying their name and praying for their specific prayer need, right? So I think that it's going to be one of the biggest things, just going in there and sending an audio prayer to every single person, right? And if you can, an audio prayer in Messenger. So yeah, you send an audio prayer in Messenger, and you can actually do it through the Pages app or through the Messenger app. You just send that audio prayer. That way you're using their name and praying for their specific prayer need. And then, I like to ask them if they want to come out to church on Sunday, because sometimes people won't plan their visit, but then when you send that audio prayer, and just so we're clear here, because I know there's been questions about this last week too. The audio prayers, you just, or the prayer request, you get to them whenever you can, right? So like, you don't have to be constantly on call all day long and like, oh my gosh, my phone buzzed, and like pick it up and immediately respond. The plan your visits are time sensitive. You do want to reach out to people that have planned their visit within, preferably within 5 minutes, but at least within 15. Obviously, that's the middle of the night. You're not going to text them at 4 o'clock in the morning. But the plan your visits are time sensitive, but the prayer requests aren't, right? So like what we say is like, man, if you're starting to get overwhelmed, something like that, don't even worry about it. Just wait till the end of the day and then respond to all the prayer requests. Because if you're spending $10 a day, you're probably looking at 3 or 4 prayer requests like per day. Even if you're at $30 a day, you're probably somewhere in probably the 10 to 12 range, right? So it's nothing crazy. Let's see. So he said we've had about 40 prayer requests in the last 2 days. Trying to set up my system to deal with all this the correct way. Okay. So with half in the Messenger, half on that sounds about right. 50-50 on the comments and in the Messenger. So yeah, I would just pick a time to stay on top of it. I would pick a time like at the end of the day or something like that to go in and just respond to everyone that did it that day. Typically you can respond to each, so even, and 20 prayer requests per day is an insane amount, but it won't be like that forever. It'll start to slow down. So yeah, I'd go in. Oh, and I guess if it's 20 per day, but 10 are comments and 10 are prayer requests. So that makes sense. That's about the numbers we see. So yeah, I'll just go in and send those audio prayers to everyone who's in Messenger, and then on the comments, you just kind of reply to the comments when you can. All right, let's see. We've got several other people here on the call. So who's next? Who's got a question here? And if you guys are nervous or shy about talking to the camera, you can always throw it in the chat as well, like Pastor Checker did, and we can answer it that way, whatever's easiest. I know Caleb and I have been talking to a lot of churches. So we've signed up, I think in the last, gosh, what is it, Caleb? I think in the last 4 months, since we kind of went all in on this system and everything, we've signed up, I think 120 or 130 churches to at least try the free trial of this thing. And so we've had a lot of
at the end of August, we had 50 sign up in 10 days.
Wow. Yeah, that was pretty crazy trying to get our tech team to build all of this out. And
there were a few emails saying, "Are you guys not responding?" And I remember thinking, "We're trying. we're getting there.
We're working 18-hour days. Hold on." So it was pretty crazy. Terry was working weekends and stuff, but so it's a lot of everyone's basically seeing like the same type of thing, right? It's with every single church we've launched, is that it works 100% of the time, and so a lot of it is just customizing it to your church and really just you figuring out a system for how to deal with it, right? So because obviously, if you one of the things we talked about in last week's call, like if you have your Facebook pages app notifications on, then your phone's getting buzzed every single time someone responds, right? So if like one prayer request comes in, you are like the first time, like every single response they have, your phone keeps buzzing. So if you get that 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 people per day, you're probably getting 12 to 15, 20 buzzes per day. And, and if your ad budget is, $30 or more, then like your phone is just exploding all day long. So if you turn off the Facebook pages app notifications, you won't get that, and then just leave your Messenger notifications on. That way you'll only get one when a prayer request comes in, and then when someone submits a Facebook or a prayer request and a plan your visit. So let me do this. I'll actually pull it up. A lot of you guys who were on the call last week probably saw this, but so it's not perfect here. Let me see. So you'll get you'll get like something like this that looks like this. It says like, hey, you've received a prayer notification, like check it out, right? So these are our prayer notifications. And then if we go down here, you can see, where is it? Oh yeah. There at the bottom where it actually has like that little red thing, that means there was a plan your visit. And so this is all in Facebook Messenger. So if you have those on, you're only gonna get the prayer request when it first comes in. And then if they plan their visit, you'll get the plan your visit as well. That will help cut down on that overwhelm and just make sure that you're kind of getting that, just getting those things instead of every single response to the system, which can get overwhelming in a hurry. So,
hey, there are a couple other things that I'd like for you to talk about, Chris, just while we're waiting for the questions.
Yeah.
That is the people who plan a visit but don't come. We get a lot of those. And we also are getting questions about the targeting and why they're getting people outside of the radius that we're setting.
Yeah, that was one of mine.
It's a question almost everyone's asking, and we have a church wanting to expand the radius to about 50 miles, which I'm afraid is going to actually kind of hurt our system a little bit. But anyway, could you talk a little bit about the why? And
yeah, so what we do, in fact, I don't know if I still have the picture on my phone or not. If so, I'll show you. I'll show you what the actual targeting, in case you guys have never seen it, what the actual targeting looks like.
There's actually a way to share your phone, Abo. Share your phone screen.
Okay.
Hitting the share button at the bottom, you can use AirPlay and share it directly on Zoom. They can see your screen.
Okay. I probably won't have to do it again. I just want to show.
Oh, that works.
Yeah. So like that's what it actually looks like inside of Facebook, right? So we had a pastor saying like, "Hey, why am I getting people from like an hour away?" I'm like, "Well," and she thought everything was kind of set up wrong. I said, "Hey, listen, it really is like that's it. Like we dropped a pin on your church and drew a radius 10 miles around, and that's who we're showing it to." So what happens is Facebook does it by geolocation, right? So literally anyone who's in that 10-mile radius at the time and is on Facebook could see your ad. So you could have somebody from out of state who's in visiting family or something like that. And if they're in that radius of your church and they're on Facebook, then they might see your ad and go ahead and submit a prayer request and everything. And then it's like, when you invite them to church, they're like, oh, actually, we live in California, right? And you're like, well, why are we showing ads in California when we're when we're in Maryland, right? Or something. So, and that's just what happens is Facebook shows it to people in that radius at that time. And so we found that to be the most effective way to do it is simply by that location, because there's another setting where you can actually target people simply by people that live there. But that way, although it sounds like it would be better, it's actually less effective, because it's basically like people who say, oh yeah, I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The problem is people will never update on that on their Facebook. So then they move to Dallas, and you're showing to thousands of people who live all over the country who used to live in Tulsa but haven't updated their Facebook, and so you're just wasting a bunch of money. And the reverse is true too. You have people who used to live in other cities who now live in Tulsa, but they're not seeing your ad because their Facebook location doesn't say that. So it's better to do it by geolocation, people who are actually physically within driving distance of your church. The only bummer is that every once in a while you're going to get someone who lives an hour away and they just happen to be in town doing some shopping or meeting a friend for lunch or something like that. So it's going to happen, but it's going to be the exception to the rule. Everyone else, right, it's typically going to live there because of the radius and kind of how Facebook's targeting works.
How about the people that plan a visit? Kind of the best practice for getting them to church on Sunday. What should they expect getting them to church on Sunday?
Yeah. So again, if you're not calling people and connecting with them 15 minutes before, then you should expect 0 of them to show up. It doesn't matter, even if you have 10 or 12 plan your visits in 1 week, which is super high. But even if you did, if you're not calling them and making a personal connection, people just won't show up. Right? It's always, because again, it's I was listening to a podcast. It was a Dave Ramsey podcast here a while back, and he was specifically talking about business. But one of the things he was saying is that people do business with people. They don't do business with nameless, faceless organizations, right? And so the same is true in the church world, right? Like people will show up if they've met someone else. That's why a personal invite is the most powerful thing on the planet, right? So this is the next best thing to a personal invite, because you can still have that personal connection, but people connect with people. They don't connect with a nameless, faceless organization, even if that's a church. And so the thing that you have to do is make sure to connect with them somehow. And it can be on the phone, it can be through text, it can even be through Messenger, but they have to know that it's you on the other end. That's an actual human. That's why using their name is really important, referencing their specific prayer request. That's why sending an audio prayer is so powerful, is because you can't fake that, right? Like they know that's you, like that's an actual human. That wasn't the system, that was you. And it's the same thing with plan your visit. So 2 things that we've seen be really, really effective. So there's something that I call the selfie video follow-up, right? So what I always recommend is that 24 hours after a visit, you take all of your, not just your plan your visits, but all of your Connect cards, all your first-time visitors, and you create a personal video for them, like a selfie video, and send it to them, just thanking them for coming, right? So this takes the relationship to the next level. If literally you take your phone out, and just say, hey, what's up, John and Heather? Man, Pastor Chris here. Hey, I just want to thank you so much for coming to church yesterday. Man, we had a blast getting to know you and your family. I hope your kids had a great time back in kids' church. I know our kids pastor were just, raving about, Kelly and Susie and how, what great kids you guys have raised. So, man, we just want to say thank you so much for coming out to the church. Man, and, we're having service again next week at 10 o'clock. Can you make it? And then end the video, right? So you ended it with a question again. So they're blown away by an actual video and seeing your face as the pastor. You're sending it out to them. And then you ended it with a question, which opens a communication loop, and they feel like they have to close it by responding, right? And if they say, yeah, sure, man, this is so great. Thank you so much. We'll come out next Sunday again. Now they just promised a pastor that they're coming to church, which for most people feels like they just made a commitment to God himself that they would not miss church, right? And your, if you guys know anything about assimilation statistics, if you can get people to come back 2 times in a row. So I think if somebody visits the first time, if I remember this correctly, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure this is right. The first time they come, there's a 10% chance that they'll come back, just national averages. 10% chance they'll come back and actually assimilate into the church, become a member. If they come 2 Sundays in a row, that number jumps from 10% to 50%. And if they come 3 Sundays in a row, it jumps to 80%. And so that's why, like if you can get them to come back 3 Sundays in a row, there's an 80% chance that they will become members of the church and actually join your church. And so one of the best things that you can do then is try to get them back. The first thing is try to get them back that second Sunday. And the best way you can do that is with the Monday morning selfie video. The reason I say on Monday is because if you do it Sunday night, it still feels like part of the experience, right? It still feels like a Sunday experience that they had. If you wait 24 hours later, it's a separate experience, right? It's like, oh my gosh, yeah, like we went this weekend, now we're back at work or we're dropping the kids off at school, and they get a selfie video from the pastor thanking them for coming, right? Like it's crazy. So I said I wasn't gonna share my phone again, but I'm gonna do it one more time. I'll show you. So one of the churches in the program, we talked to him about this. He sent me a text that said follow this video follow-up is gold, bro. Thank you. And he sent me this. So like I'm putting Aaron on blast here. He was on the call last week. So Aaron, hope you don't mind me showing this, bro. Sharing this. But so you can see right here, like so he sent the video to me, screenshotted this, and you can see, and the response back was phenomenal, right? And so she says, wow, a church has never, in all caps, wow, a church has never done this before. I'll bring my husband next time. Right. So like now she's coming out back again. She's bringing her husband because she was blown away by the follow-up. So what's interesting is like she probably had a pretty good visit the first time, but now she's definitely coming back because of the follow-up. And this is where so many churches drop the ball. Right. So the harvest is in the follow-up. It's the best thing that you can do. The other now I had a church that I was coaching that was doing this, but their biggest problem, they're like, hey, we're sending selfie videos, but our biggest problem is just getting the show up rate. It's like, we're calling everybody, we're leaving voicemails, we're sending text messages, we're just still having about 50% not show up. And so I told them to just kind of flip this and start sending the selfie video after they planned a visit, before they showed up. So if he couldn't get a hold of them, he would send a selfie video either that day or sometimes he'd wait for Saturday as a reminder. And he'd send a selfie video and saying the same type of thing, like, hey, Johnny and Heather, Pastor Chris, man, I just want to let you know, I'm super excited about meeting you guys tomorrow morning. Man, I'm going to have, some of the guys in the church save y'all some seats, but man, I just want to reach out and introduce myself, let you know how excited I am. Man, try to get there 10 or 15 minutes early. I'd love to get you a cup of coffee and just connect and hear a little bit more about your story. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Right? Like, then it's like, oh my gosh, the pastor's waiting for me. Like, I got to be there. And so they make that connection with you beforehand. So I recommend using it as a follow-up tool. But if you're trying to get people to show up, you can actually use it as a show-up tool. And then there's nothing wrong with still sending a second one as the follow-up after they visit as well. But that's something that if you're calling and you're still having a lot of no-shows, then just start sending those videos and you'll see it just go like this, right? People rave about the video files because people are just blown away that a pastor would take time, out of his day. And so for most churches, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's so important that we, in the follow system we created in Text and Church, I have a reminder that goes out to email. And it's like one of the only ones I send to pastors with all caps, exclamation points, do not neglect this. Yeah. But everyone has apprehensions about it, or a lot of people have apprehensions about it. So I just, as a former counselor, one of the things we used to say to people is, people remember how you make them feel. I'm muting. There we go. People remember how you make them feel. That's why this works so much. When you send them that selfie video, then they feel so important and so special. It changes the dynamics of the relationship. The other is perfection is paralysis. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you're worried for perfection, then you're never going to get started. So your script doesn't have to be perfect. The selfie video doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be authentic.
Yeah, that's exactly it, bro. All right, let's see. Okay, so we got another question here in the comments, Pastor Tucker. Let's see. If I have 20 or 30 people from the ad in the comments, how do I turn those making the comments into contacts to check on? So the bottom line is, Pastor Tucker, there's there's really no great way to get people from the comment section into the ManyChat subscribers, right? So unfortunately, the tech just doesn't exist yet to actually automatically subscribe them, or Facebook doesn't want it to. They don't want people to be automatically subscribed to your messenger list just because they commented. It'd be nice if that happens, and if they make any changes in the future, then we'll definitely build that out in the system. But what we typically do is we recommend there's basically kind of two things that you can do. Number one is you can literally just say, and this works okay. I haven't seen it work great, but it's at least better than nothing. Is you can pray for them, in the comments, right? Like just pray for, and then just say, hey John, would you mind clicking the link above, the send message button, and actually sending this through Facebook Messenger? We're compiling a list of all the prayers, and we want to make sure that that we don't miss yours, right? And so that way, when they send it, they're going through the bot and they're actually subscribing, right? And that way, you're actually able to now you have a record of all that, so you literally can compile a list of all the prayers and pray. That's going to help, right? A lot of people aren't going to take that extra step because they kind of check the box of, oh, I already submitted my prayer request and the pastor already prayed. But the people that really want, really are making that connection and really do want you to pray for their prayer request will go copy paste that and send it through the bot. So it'll happen sometimes. The other thing that you can do is you could try just sending them a DM, right? So click on their profile, go there and just try to send them a personal DM. And just say, hey, I just wanted to reach out to you and didn't want to put it in the comments, and just wanted to let you know that I'm personally praying for you, and just say, hey, and then just kind of say what the bot would normally say. Hey, we're having service this Sunday at 11 o'clock. Would you like to come out so I can pray for you in person? All right. And then if they say yes, then you can just get their information there. Say, okay, great. I'll send you a reminder text Saturday night. What's the best number to text? Right, and then most people will give you their number, especially if you say a text message, because it's it's not invasive or anything like that. So that's what I would do if it were me. If you send them a DM that way, ask them if they want to come out so you can pray for them in person. If they say yes, okay, great. What's the best? I'll shoot you a reminder text Saturday. What's the best number? Right, and then just put an alarm in your phone to send out those reminder texts to everybody. All right, let's see. I know we've got a few more minutes here. Does anyone we have any more questions before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I got some.
Yeah, who said that?
Go for it, Scott.
I do.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So a couple questions I have, and actually I got a couple testimonies because you guys said you wanted to hear testimonies if they ever came.
Definitely.
So I'll shoot two for you really quick. So and then I have a question for you. So a lady actually just replied back to a prayer request I had for her last night. And she got in a car wreck, had excruciating pain, hasn't been able to sleep, all this other kind of stuff. And she just sent back a reply to one of our things. She said, Pastor Scott prayed for me last night. And even though it was in writing, I prayed it out loud. I agreed with him. I went to bed last night, slept good, like he said. And I woke up this morning totally pain-free. So,
bro, come on.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then another lady, we had a visit from somebody finally. Actually, we haven't had a lot of visits because I haven't got back to the phone numbers. Now I got to do that big time.
Yeah.
But we had a biker guy, a big biker guy, and his wife show up at church this Sunday, and he testified in front of the whole church. He said a couple of weeks ago, he said, my wife had a stroke, which she did. She was in the hospital. She said, we saw your request, your prayer request. We sent in a prayer request. You prayed for us while we were in there. We came in agreement. Her right side was totally like messed up and everything else. She goes, we came in agreement with your prayer request. And we totally got healed. She was released the next day. She said, we're at church today. We agreed with your prayer request. And so that's why they showed up. And this biker guy is huge. He's like 6'4". He looks at me and goes, are you the pastor? Are you the pastor? I'm like, do I want to be pastor today? I'm not sure, Yeah. And he goes right off and he says, we're here because you prayed for my wife and she got totally healed. And I'm like, which one? Because we prayed for so many, but so they showed up specifically because of the ad.
That's what I love it, man. That's awesome.
See, God answers prayer. That's the other thing about this. God answers prayer. Good job, Pastor Scott. Thanks for sharing those things.
Yeah,
awesome, man.
But now I do have a question.
Yeah.
So when we get those many chat replies, like once a week, said you had so many new subscribers and stuff, and then it says, how about sending a video to all these people or whatever, to whatever. well, how do you do that? I don't even know how to do that because I don't want to screw up anything that you guys got going on since you're running it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to do that to everybody that's because we have like a couple hundred subscribers now, I think. And I want to send them a video on a regular basis. Just say, hey, you remember you're awesome. There's greatness inside of you. If you haven't made it to church yet, come out and hit every one of them and blast them on a weekly basis. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, so we've got some that are already built in that actually do that. So we have like a Saturday night blast that goes in and invites people to church. We also have one that went in and actually goes in a month later and follows up with people automatically. And so literally pulls in their name.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, yeah.
I'm talking about like doing a video where it says send them a video now. How do you do a video?
So all you have to do is let me see if I have the link here. If not, when you email Heather, she can send it. But I know I've got it in here somewhere. Let me find it.
Okay.
But we've got a link for a broadcast request. So all you do is if you want to do something like that, then just fill out the broadcast request, and then we'll go build it out for you, and we'll schedule it out to go out whenever you want it to.
Oh, you'll do that. Okay, I thought I had to do that on our side.
No, we'll do that. We've had people that have tried it. So the problem is if someone goes in and accidentally breaks it, it's way harder to fix than it is for us to just go do it. Right.
Okay,
so it's not easy because we can do it really fast. It's just is go in and build out the broadcast, schedule it all out and that kind of stuff. So I'll send you the link. That way, whenever you want to broadcast, you can do it. We don't recommend broadcasting more than twice a month. Sending out the broadcast, right? It's just like a giant blast, almost like emailing your email list, right? We send an email out to everybody. The reason is Facebook has kind of cracked down a lot on all that because so many people were using it for spam back in the day. So they're just blasting you every single day. So they're a little bit more strict. So as long as you're only doing it like twice a month, you're fine. You're not hitting them up. Otherwise, if you start to do too many broadcasts, Facebook could flag your account. Okay. So that's why we say once or twice a month. It's perfect, right? Invite them out to like a specific Sunday or a brand new sermon series or anything, right? But that's part of it. That's one of the reasons you want to grow so many subscribers is because you want to send out those broadcasts, right? Like you've got, I was just talking to a church here about an hour ago who they're doing like this huge like block party, like back to school block party, and they've been running Facebook ads, for it or whatever on their own. And he's a friend of mine that I ran Facebook ads for years ago. And just said, hey, here are my numbers. What do you think? And it was just like, yeah, man, the whole time I was just thinking, it's like, man, he's crushed. He's spent a lot of money in Facebook ads. But if he had been spending these Facebook ads in Messenger and building up all these subscribers, he wouldn't have had to go out there and spend a couple $1,000s in Facebook ads. He could have just sent one broadcast out to his entire list and invited everybody and had a 93% open rate.
And that's what I want to do.
Yeah,
right. That's exactly what we want to do. And plus, we want to keep encouraging the people that don't show up or whatever else. We just want to just say, hey, we're still here thinking about you. Right.
Yep. That's exactly it. So let me see here.
We could put it in chat if you can find it.
Yep. I'll put it in the chat here. Here we go. All right. Yep. So I just put it in the chat there. It's just a simple Wufoo form that we set up, and then whenever you want a custom broadcast like that, you just go in and fill it out. The important thing is just to give us as much information as possible, right? So and then we'll go in there and actually build out that broadcast request when you want it to go out and everything. Set it out for you.
How about the lifespan you think of the ministry ads? When I'm talking to people, that's another common question I get. It seems like sometimes after 2 months, a lot of churches are actually still getting a lot of momentum still built up. But there is that question. It seems like this one has a lifespan that's longer than anything else we've done. But I just thought maybe, because that's a common question, maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah, it's a great question. And so the reason is if anyone's ever run Facebook ads before, or if they're ever part of any of our other coaching programs that we've done over the past couple of years, we always said, hey, you want to change your Facebook ads out every month, right? Because if you're running like a video views ad or a traffic ad, basically like that has about a 3 or 4 week life cycle, and then it just kind of dies. But with Facebook Messenger ads, it's a completely different life cycle, and specifically with Facebook ministry ads. And we kind of touched on this at the beginning, but the reason is because there's never a short of ministry. There's never a short of people who need prayer requests, right? So if you go out there and you're just hitting people, just inviting them to Sunday, when you first start running a Facebook ad, just saying like, hey, do you want to come to church this Sunday? there's going to be some people who, wherever they're at in life, are like ready for something. They're ready to give God a shot, or they've been looking for a church, whatever. So you're going to find some of those people. But after about a month, that kind of starts to taper off, depending on the size of your city and the size of your audience. But with Facebook ministry ads and with specifically conversations through Messenger, it basically never stops. So you could literally run it for 12 months and it would still continue to be effective. What we have seen is typically somewhere in the 90 to 150 days mark, right? So about 3 to 5 months is typically a good time to run this. And then we're working on several other flows and ads to build out to do this. So the interesting part, right, is, and you guys have probably seen this, is there's so much that goes into the system itself. Whereas like a Facebook ad before, you go in, you write the Facebook ad, you set up a landing page on your website, and then you can spin it up and you can do the whole thing pretty quickly. You can set up the ad within 15 or 20 minutes and send it out. With this, you not only have the ad itself, but then with the chat bot, right? Every single answer that somebody can answer is basically, you called it like a decision tree the other day, Caleb, right? Like it's basically that, right? Like it starts with one thing like, how can we pray for you? And then it just keeps like splitting off, right? So it's like if they answer, like, oh yeah, would you like to come out like this Sunday, right? It's like it splits off and it goes to another one that has multiple things. Every time there's a question, it shoots off. So you have to build all those, the entire system out and all the flows and everything, plus adding in some of the follow-up flows and everything. So what we're doing is working on building out multiple so that so we've got other things to run here. So we've got some cool stuff. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much right now, but we've got some really cool stuff kind of targeting marriages and targeting parents, especially parents with young kids and young families, even just some straight up plan your visit flows to use as retargeting once you've actually kind of warmed up your audience and they know who you are and you have 300, 400, 500 subscribers. So we've got some cool things coming, but we recommend running this for at least for 90 days before you begin to think about anything else, because the bottom line is it's just going to keep working. And then, we're kind of keeping an eye on the KPIs on the back end here. Our tech team will kind of take a look at that and keep an eye on that. And then once again, so the biggest thing to look for is if all of a sudden things start to slow down, like you were talking about earlier, Scott, right? Is just shoot us an email. And then what we'll do is, again, typically you just look and see how many comments are on the ad. Typically it's because the comments have snowballed and kind of taken over. And now everyone is still getting a ton of responses, but they're commenting instead of sending the prayer request. When that happens, just shoot us an email. And then what we can do is we'll actually go in and we can just duplicate the ad and restart it. And then that way it'll start fresh with no comments. And all of a sudden you'll start to see those prayer requests come in a bunch.
Plus, we've had it shared like over 100+ times now. So we can literally get people from all over the nation now saying, yeah, I go to your church, but I'm like 10 hours away. I mean, literally, we've had so many shares on it, which is great. But
that's incredible when you think about it. That these people are seeing the ads, even if they don't need prayer, they're sharing it. Like that's the kind of impact this is having, which also might answer the question of why you're getting people sending prayer requests from outside your radius. We have no control.
I think it's great. We're praying for them anyways, because everybody needs prayer, and you never know who they know. So
well, you had miracles happen and praying in the background, Scott. I mean, from that biker guy who showed up after his prayer was answered. So there could be somebody in California to pray for.
Totally.
Yeah, and that's the ripple effect just throughout the body of Christ is really cool, right? Because there's going to be people. I guarantee this, right? Like if you stick with this program and keep running it and keep getting those shares and people keep commenting, like you're going to have people who walk up to you and just say, "Man, you don't know me, but you ran a prayer ad, somebody shared it, and I saw it halfway across the country, right?" And ended up and that interaction, it might have just sparked like, man, maybe I'll give God a shot, right? Instead of taking my own life. Or something, right? And then maybe that leads to them going to church and getting saved, giving their life to Christ, and you never even know it. But just because you guys are faithful in doing this, somebody shares it, somebody else sees it. Just that ripple effect, right? The echoes throughout the body of Christ. We won't actually know until we get to heaven. So, but I'm also glad on the practical side that you mentioned that, because I'm like, oh, that's probably a lot of the reasons too that you end up getting stuff from out of state, right? Like it's not just the targeting or people that happen to be in town. It's probably just if when that ad resonates with people and they share it, they're sharing it with everyone in their network
Right.
even
Yeah.
people out of the country. So
If you think about it, they would only share it if somebody else needs prayer. So you're
Right.
probably, I mean, that's almost a guarantee that you're going to be getting. If it's 100 shares, you should expect 100 people to submit a prayer request from
Yeah.
wherever they are.
Yeah, we're getting
And
tons
so
of them
it-
on both of them. Yeah.
yeah,
Rather than be discouraged, it's actually, it should be an encouragement.
Yeah.
That You're,
Oh, it
getting, you're
is
getting people way
encouragement.
outside that
Yeah.
radius.
Yeah. It's just the only hard part is like when we send the Autobot or the auto
Yeah.
reply back on coming on Sunday, half of our people are literally like, we don't even live close to you. And we don't know that. We don't know that after we've prayed for them, talked to them for a while, and then they don't, that they live a long ways away. So
yeah,
You know, there's been a discussion in the church about whether or not to stream services because sometimes people won't come. They'll just stay at home and watch the service. But I tell you what, man, this would be a real value there for those people that are in outside that radius. They're in a different state. Send them if you're live streaming your service, send them a link.
Right.
It
and
might
we've
be
done
their
that.
only encounter. That's all.
Yeah, we've actually done that. We actually said, by the way, well, since you can't be here, here's our website because it's streamed and we have people watching now.
I love it.
That's cool.
I love it. That's awesome,
Oh,
man.
man, that's
Perfect.
awesome. Somebody else has to have a question.
Yeah,
Somebody.
I had one other quick question.
Yeah.
How are people storing this data? We just we've been using Excel and a spreadsheet. What do we do? How are we going to get this organized when we've got 5,000 of these next month?
Hire Heather.
Yeah.
Well, I've got Marisa. Marisa is on the line here. She's my Heather, so
I just
she's listening.
call me Heather.
God bless you, Marissa. God bless you.
What
Yeah.
do we do?
So let's see. That's a great question. So I think there's like now that you say that, Will, let me look into it. So I'll have to get back to you, but I think there's a way where, because you guys are doing that manually, right? Like selling,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of a cut and pay. It's very time consuming, and with the volunteers and the people, obviously better in a database.
Yeah. Well,
You
so one thing it'll at least save you the manual time, right? Like, is I think there's a way, and it's kind of one of those things you have to kind of like duct tape several different tools together. But I think using Zapier, you can create a Zap, which if you're familiar with Zapier, it's kind of like middleware, right? Like you take this software here and this software here, and then you can use Zapier that like connects the two. So I think there's a Zapier integration for ManyChat that we might be able to set up that will take it. And so for every single prayer request, it'll automatically zap that to a Google Sheet, right? It's just Google's version of Excel. And then that way, at least it would save you from manually having to upload it every single time.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be cute, because we
Do you
literally
think we'd be able to put it would take even what the request was.
Yes. It'll basically like every if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've looked at this, but I think what it'll do is it'll put like their first and last name. If they plan their visit, it'll do that. It'll have like their email and phone number, and then it'll also pull in their actual prayer request and put it into the Google Sheet here.
Because I know from the calendar, I think somebody was asking about the calendar too earlier. Like you can go from their calendar under, is it under events or is it under, and then put it into your own personal calendar.
Okay.
For like all our Sunday visits now are on my calendar.
Okay.
So there is a way to capture that, I know. I just wasn't sure about the actual data.
Yeah, so I think, like I said, let me, I'll double check on that for you. But I think there's a way to set that up, at least to automatically sort on a Google Sheet.
Yeah, and under appointments, you can easily go to appointment setting and have that information not just put on that calendar, but your personal calendars. Just FYI.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, I've never
easy.
seen that feature. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that's all we have.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I've got a jet here in about 5 minutes. So we have one more question that we want to that anyone has before we log off for the week.
So in ManyChat, you can't hit. There's not a button you can push that'll show like all the phone numbers that. Because we've actually, I hate to say it, we've probably got 25 phone numbers, 30 phone numbers that we never contact people because they all said they'd show up. Now I got to go back and call them over. That's been now it's somewhere 3 or 4 weeks old.
So let me see. I'm actually in your account right now here, Scott. Let me check. Yeah. Okay. So here's what you do is I'll tell you, I'll shoot you a quick video and just send it over on how to do it. Basically, just to give you a heads up, it's like when you go into ManyChat, if you click on audience, there is it'll say planned visit.
Right.
And what you'll do is if you click on the planned visit under the tag, it'll pop up all the people that have planned a visit.
Okay.
And then when you click on each individual person, so you have to go in by each one. You click on each individual person, and it has the custom fields that has their email, phone number, and prayer request on there.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep, absolutely. So I'll shoot you a quick 30-second video after this.
Okay. Hey, quick question. Where do you find that ManyChat? I'm not seeing that for some reason.
ManyChat.com.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the software platform. So basically, what we do for each one of you guys, like we actually create an account and we actually pay for it and everything, and then build out everything in that account. So we created an account for you guys and it has it in there. Sets everything up through Messenger, but that's where everything lives is inside of ManyChat.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Scott, real quick, let me just get what's the best email to send that video to?
Pastor Scott.
Okay.
At forgiven.
Okay.
Online.org.
Okay, perfect. I'll send that right over right before I leave for this next meeting here so that I don't forget.
Thanks so much.
Scott, thanks for sharing your testimonies, man. Those were incredible. So encouraging. And good job. Good job.
Hey, you guys are doing a great job.
We created a system we're proud of, and using Abo's brain power and Travis's brain power. I'm happy to be a little part of it. But man, it's up to you guys doing the ministry work. So
Amen.
Praise the Lord for leaders like you.
Hey, Chris, real quick on that ManyChat, I tried to download that. This is Tony, by the way. But it came back like something went wrong. It says the link has already been used or the page is not active. You know what caused that?
Expiration link.
Yeah. So if it's that link that we send you, I think is only live for like 24 hours, and then ManyChat builds it out to expire. So if you just shoot an email over to Heather, then she can take care of you and help you get hooked up.
Okay. And Caleb, you may have told me that, so I apologize.
Don't let it happen again, Tony.
Oh, no.
I told you. I don't remember if I told you. I probably didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, we can just generate another link, send it over to you, and it'll be live for 24 hours. So.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. Man, we'll shoot you an email. We'll probably do this again next week. I know Caleb is going to be on a Disney cruise, suffering for the Lord somewhere in the Caribbean.
I'm doing it for you guys. Yeah, it's ministry.
Yeah, glad you're getting a chance to do that, bro. So you deserve it, man. I'll be sitting here basically working double time to try to cover all of, because Caleb's like the glue that holds everything together around here. And so I'll be working double time doing all of his stuff as well next week. So I'll be here. We'll shoot you guys an email with the time and everything, probably be about the same time, but I'll shoot you guys an email, and then we'll jump on here. And man, yeah, keep the testimonies coming. And I just got a testimony this week from a guy who his church has been growing so much with these Facebook ministry ads. They had to go to 2 services this Sunday, and I got a text from him on Monday that they had it was one of the largest church services in the history of their church that they'd had. And so they literally just used Facebook ministry ads. We sent out a custom broadcast letting people know about the 2 services, and I think he said Easter is like the only day they've ever had that's at a bigger attendance than what they just had this past Sunday. So pretty exciting stuff. So man, awesome. That's the kind of stuff we live for, right? So because we're constantly neck deep in all the tech and all the support and that kind of stuff. So please, the reason we do it is to reach people. So man, when those kinds of testimonies come in, let us know. And if you can't shoot us a video, letting us know, because man, we have a group text that we throw all of them in there just to keep everybody encouraged, so everybody on the team can see what's going on and see the fruit of their labor, especially the tech guys who never get to see you guys and hear it from you. They're just stuck, building stuff out all the time. So
Yeah.
that helps a lot.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks for
rock and
joining,
roll.
guys.
Thanks,
Good to
We'll
see y'all.
Thank you.
Blessings.
See y'all.
Bye.